Hi, my name is Donovan, and this is my final project for WDD 231 titled Recipe Explorer. In this short demo, I'll be walking through how my site uses APIs, asynchronous functionality, session storage, and local storage to create an interactive recipe browsing experience. At the top of my page, you can see the navigation bar with three main pages: Home, Recipes, and Favorites. The active page is highlighted for easy visual feedback. The site is styled consistently with a warm, food-inspired color palette, shadowed cards, and smooth transitions. The home page has three main sections: the hero, a featured section, and a popular section. The hero invites the user to start exploring the new recipes right away, taking them to the recipes page. The featured section uses an API that generates a random recipe every time the page is loaded. That is the same for this popular. As you can see, it's currently listing 8 different recipes. If I reload this page, new recipes are added. Every recipe comes with a picture, the name of the recipe, the category. I list the number of ingredients used, and then a tag used for finding the recipe. I can then view each recipe by clicking on this button, and a modal will pop up. I have a close button, posts that same info that was listed before, an add to favorite button, the actual ingredients listed, any instructions to build the recipe. And every card, every recipe will have a new modal. I can also add any recipe to my favorites. Every page is mobile friendly. Right now it's in desktop view. If I were to go in and make this mobile view, you can see the menu collapses, and I can open and close it as needed. I still have my hero, and it fits perfectly with on a mobile device. Each card and I can still click on recipes, see their picture, look at the info, and add to favorite. I am using the meal database for my API. This API pulls dynamic data where I can search meals by name, letter, ID that it has. I can choose a single random meal, which is what I do on my home page. I can list all the categories, and I can find things many different ways. One thing it is very good at not doing is giving me all of the recipes at once. What this means is it was very challenging, and I had to come up with creative ways to fetch the data in the way that I wanted. As you can see in my code, I fetch a random recipe, I fetch categories, and I fetch the information based on the category that was fetched. I can also search by the ID of a particular recipe. As I'll show you, this is actually why it became very challenging to list multiple recipes at once. If I go to my recipes page, you can see I've got buttons that list every single category. It pulls these categories dynamically from the API. I can then display a list of recipes accordingly. So I can choose lamb, and I'll get all the recipes with the category of lamb. And each of these cards is still interactive, and I can add them to my favorite. It became very challenging because I had to use multiple API calls to interact with the data differently. In the console, you can see I have the categories being called, but there's nothing listed other than the category name. So I had to save this category somewhere. I saved it in session storage. And then I pull that category and I put it through the category search API, which then gives me the name of the recipe and an ID number. And then I had to make another API call where I could then search by the ID the recipe needed, and then I would have all of the information to be displayed. By saving the category in session storage, I can keep the search parameters that the user selected the same even if you change pages. You can see lamb is still there, and all of the lamb recipes are displayed when I change pages. If I chose vegan and then I move, and vegan is still here, and only the vegan recipes are displayed. And again, the page is mobile friendly. We can switch to mobile view, still view all of the recipes, still select new ones. Throughout, throughout the demo, we have been choosing recipes and adding them to favorites. On the favorites page, you can see these recipes that were added. You can also choose to add your own recipe to the site. I'm going to call spaghetti dessert because why not? We'll add a pasta tag. We'll do noodles, measurement of 1, package. And all of these fields have required attributes. If you don't select them, this pop-up still comes and says, hey, you need to fill this out. You can choose to upload a photo, autofill your info, and you can add a recipe. Oh, we didn't add the ingredient to the list. And then your recipe will be reviewed for submittal. You can come back to the favorites page, and if you decide you don't like this one anymore, remove the favorite. And then you have less. And one more time, the page is mobile friendly. The navigation changes depending on what the size is. And if we're at the top and we don't want to We want to add a recipe. We're going to want to scroll all the way down because we have 1,000 favorites. Just go straight to it. Once we're done, go back to our favorites, choose the recipe we want, and view it. And this concludes my demo.